Well, hello and welcome back to the golf house.
Hello, welcome back.
If you've been here before, if you're new, welcome. We're so glad you're here. Today we are doing a special, I guess it's like an Easter weekend special of ghost stories. And we are going to talk about the goings on in this house as opposed to our much more scary last house. This house doesn't have quite as many things and not quite as scary, but we do have a lot of things that go on around here. So, we're going to start out with, I guess, when we the first few years that we lived here, everything was, I guess, pretty smooth because we were so used to the other house that everything here seemed really calm and...
Oh, yeah-ish.
Yeah, but for the first couple years. We did have little things happen. Now, the whole time we've lived here, doors will open, shut. Now that I'm home all day by myself, my sewing room door, I'll shut it so that the dogs don't go in there because I kind of keep all the bedroom doors except ours shut so that the dogs don't go in there. And I will shut it and go take a shower and I come back out and my door is open again. Or even some days are much more active and I'll just be sweeping or mopping or doing things around the house and I'll walk through the hallway and all of a sudden my door handle will turn and my door will open. That's probably the most active room, I think, is that sewing room.
Definitely. I'm going to agree with you on this one.
Yeah. You can hear things. You can hear giggling, little kid giggling, laughing. I hear a lot of chatter in this house.
Just at the end of the hallway,
Between
the bedrooms.
Yeah. There is a strange spot in the hallway that every once in a while for like a week or two straight, it's been as long as actually a month, where the house will be really, really hot, but there's this weird cold spot in the hallway. And when you walk through it, it's not just cold, it almost feels like electricity. Like if you have static cling, that's what it feels like walking through that weird spot in the hallway. Our granddaughter has seen things in the hallway. One time, you were out of town working, and she was spending the night with me or spending the weekend with me, and I was trying to get her pajamas on her, and we were in our bedroom at the end of the hall, and I had her on the bed, and I was putting her pajamas on her, and she was playing, and she was, not wanting to cooperate, so she'd kick her feet up and fall on her butt and bounce and then stand up, and she's laughing as she's doing this, and I'm trying to put clothes on her. The last time she went down, her legs went straight out. I saw in mid-fall her face dropped, and I said, "What is the matter?" And she looks up and points to the hallway, and she says, "Gigi, Gigi, who's that man? Who's that man, Gigi?" And I turned around. I didn't see anything. I had already turned all the lights off. I walked out of the hallway, looked. I didn't see anybody. And I looked in my sewing room. I didn't see anybody. And I said, "I don't know, honey. I can't see him." And all night long, he must have been in the hallway, because after that, she just was real quiet. She wasn't scared, just a little bit uneasy. So we watched a little bit of TV. We watched some Disney Channel. And while we're watching Disney Channel, the whole time she just kept looking out into the hallway, and she was sitting right smack up against me, which she never does, very quiet.
Just like the dogs.
This girl's not quiet. So that whole night she was pretty quiet, and that's the only time I've been really startled in this house. It caught me off guard. I wasn't prepared for that. And she must have been 3 at the time. I think she was 3.
Probably, yeah, that wasn't too long ago.
Yeah, it was about a year ago. Well, maybe a year and a half ago. So she was about 3. Now, this dog in particular likes to stand in front of the spare bedroom that we also canning, what do you call it, like an extended pantry. We have an extra bedroom that we have a spare bed in, and our extended pantry happens to be in there. Nobody sleeps in there unless somebody comes to stay all night, but the grandkids, they don't sleep in there, they sleep with us. But she will stand in the hallway and wag her tail when that door is open and look up like she knows somebody and she wants to be picked up, which is weird because she's afraid of strangers. She barks at strangers. She barks at things that she's not familiar with, But something in this house she's familiar with, so she will wag her tail and want it to pick her up. It's weird. So she'll stand there sometimes for half an hour wagging her tail, getting in position, putting her hands up ready to be picked up, and there's nobody there.
So we're teasing her.
I know. Or they are nice to her and she likes them and she wants to be held. She's just unaware that they have passed on and that they don't have a solid form and can't pick her up and hold her. But whoever it is, she really likes them. There are times when the dogs do get uneasy and they will be in the bed with us and you can feel it. It's almost like the air shifts a little bit and all of a sudden, you know, you're feeling uneasy and then you get kind of startled because their ears perk up and they're on high alert, and there's times where she paces all night long and she won't sleep. A couple of them do that. They'll just pace around the bed. They won't get off the bed. They'll just pace around the bed and they don't sleep.
Sit on your head.
Yeah, the ears keep perking up like they're just at high attention and you don't know why. After about a year or two after we moved into this house, Robert's dad passed away. And at that point, our daughter had one of her friends living here also. And she claims to see the dead all the time. And I completely believe her. And she sees all kinds of things. And she saw a lot of things here. She sees them just on the road, you know. But she would explain everything she would see. And she wasn't real forthcoming with that to anybody unless they really knew this about her. So she didn't really let people know these things. But after his dad passed away, out in this area here, outside on our patio was kind of like the designated smoking area for anybody who smoked. And at that point, he used to smoke. He's quit since then. He quit right before he turned 40. So
7 years.
Yeah.
7.5 years.
Yeah. So
Man.
anyway, but when he was a smoker, he was out in the designated smoking area there, and it's kind of like where we're going to build an Arizona room, but if you go out our sliding glass door and go to the right, that's our laundry room. The laundry room is not, it's hooked to the house, but there's no doorway to go into it from the house. So you actually have to go out there. Well, the laundry room door was open, and soon after his father passed, he would be out there smoking, and she had said she saw a man in the laundry room, and she explained what he looked like, and she said he was just standing there watching Robert. And she didn't tell Robert that, she told me this. And she says, I don't know who that man is, but he's just standing there staring at Robert, and he's been there every night this week just staring at Robert. And after this was in the summertime. So I didn't say anything to him because he gets spooked really easy since the other house. Yes. And this used to be a door by the oven in the kitchen where I always stand, so you'd see my oven. Right next to the oven used to be a door. Well, that window on the door you could see when you were sitting in the chair over here. One day, I don't know if it was you or me sitting there, and the door swung shut, then it swung back open.
Yeah,
it was
I was
you.
sitting over here on the sofa.
And then it swung open, the light turned on, then the light turned off, and it swung shut, and then it swung open again, and the light turned back on. And it did this several times. He thought the kids were home. So he went out there and checked, nobody was home. And I was in the bedroom, so that was very upsetting to him. So anyway, when he did go out to smoke a cigarette that night, I had to go with him and stand next to him.
Just because she was curious what was going on, that's all. Nice.
He gets a little spooked. But that laundry room door, for a long time, would do that. It would open, shut, open, shut, open, shut. And this is probably...
Fast.
Yeah. So that was probably a good solid couple years that it did that. It hasn't since. I mean, it's been more quiet now, this house, I think, than...
Since the remodel?
Since the remodel. We gutted this house and remodeled the entire thing right before I started doing YouTube. So you didn't get to see what it looked like before. But we gutted it. And but yeah, since we remodeled it, it hasn't been quite as active as it used to be. Oh, here's another story for you. Get a drink.
That's scary.
my lime flavored water. Anyway, so here's another story. This one is more recent. I can't give you anything in like a time lapse for this house because it's been little things. But I had a hysterectomy at the age of 40. And it was a scary time in my life. I wasn't feeling good. I wasn't doing very well. And it was scary. So I was in my bedroom a lot. Most of the time I just stayed in there because I was tired. I was exhausted. My iron levels were like non-existent. My red blood cells were messed up. Everything was really, really not good. So I was in there a lot. And then healing, when I had the hysterectomy, you know, I stayed in the bedroom a lot because I had to lay down. So healing. And the whole time I was in there, I always felt like there was somebody else in there, and they were very comforting. I was very comforted by this other being that was in the bedroom. And it was, I couldn't say for sure, you know, I didn't see her, but I could feel it was something feminine, and I just felt comforted. And I thought, you know, this is whoever's here, I feel good about. And I didn't feel alone when she was there. I call her a she because I had just assumed it was a feminine spirit that was there in the bedroom a lot with me. And anyway, after that, when my granddaughter was born, and you know, I didn't really say anything about, you know, feeling like this other entity there other than to my mother. My mother's the only one I said anything to about. But I told her that that's what I thought. That's what I felt like. And after my granddaughter was born, my daughter-in-law was here in the house, and we were all at work, and she was home alone with the baby. And she walked by my bedroom, and the bedroom door was open, and I had this little mirror that used to hang on the wall directly, like inside of the door. And when she walked by, she saw a woman in that mirror, and she said it was a woman in her 30s. And she said she just was looking at her. She didn't say anything to her. She just was looking at her, but she was definitely the reflection in that mirror. And she got scared, went running down the hall, out the door. She called me on her cell phone crying. She didn't want to go back in the house. She'd never experienced anything paranormal in her life. And she'd heard us talk about it from the other house, but we'd never really said much about this house. And so she wasn't prepared for that. So she did end up seeing this spirit, and it was a woman, and she was in her 30s. At this point, I still didn't know who it was. Then our neighbor, who has since passed on, I talked to her. It was about 2 days later, and I said that the kids were going to be, you know, they were looking for a place to live. They were going to move out on their own. And I said, at that point, we were thinking about moving from this house and buying a new house, very south of here. It was a brand new build, so we were thinking about doing that. So I had told her that, you know, we were thinking about moving. I'm trying to think my timelines. And
about 3 years ago, right?
That was about 4. That'd be 4. That was when Rory was a baby, so that was 5.
Oof.
So anyway, that was a long time ago. Anyway, so the neighbor, I said, hey, you know, I'm not sure, but Alyssa got scared and she was outside because she had mentioned she'd seen her outside for a couple hours with the baby. And I said, yeah, you know, she had gotten scared. She walked down the hallway and she saw a woman in the mirror. And I was expecting the neighbor to think, you know, I'm crazy. And she just kind of laughed a little bit and she said, you know, I never had, the only other neighbor as good as you was the one who lived in your house before you, or lived in your house a couple years before you. And I said, oh yeah? And she says, yeah. She told me her name and said she had died here in this house, in that bedroom that we sleep in. I had no idea. But apparently she was in her 30s. She was a cyclist and she was avid at, you know, bicycling in all kinds of events.
Healthy.
Yeah. And apparently she died in her sleep. I don't know why. I'm not sure. I never looked at medical records.
In that room.
But I did look up the history of this house, and yes, she was the owner of this house. So she had passed. I asked what she looked like, and the description the neighbor gave me matched the description that Alyssa had given me. And I told her that. I said, wow, that matches, you know, Alyssa saw her in the mirror. And she said, oh, please don't move. Don't be scared. She was a very nice lady, and she's such a good person. Please don't be afraid of her. That was the neighbor's exact words. So that's how I found out about her. Yeah, I'm not going to mention her name or anything, but she was very comforting. And now, since we've remodeled the house, I haven't noticed her at all. I still do hear things every now and again, but when I do, it'll be like for a week straight, and I'll hear chatter, like people talking inside the house with all the windows shut, but I'll hear like the chatter coming from the back of the house, and there's never anybody in here. And when I go look, or the door's opening and shutting, that still happens. And you've had some scary things yourself, so why don't you tell your stories?
Yep, I was scared. Well, the most horrifying, I guess, or terrifying event is broad daylight in the back bedroom, our bedroom, emanating from the closet a feeling of helplessness, that I'm stranded in my bedroom and have the fear of not making it out of my bedroom in the middle of the day by myself in my own house.
That's the one
Just-
only time it's ever happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
That.
I was in Michigan at the time, and he called me, and he was terrified. He was outside the house and didn't want to come back
Not
in.
going back in. 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, I was literally scared that I was gonna not make it out of the bedroom. I was like time froze, and the feeling that overtook my body was, I'm gonna perish right here, right now, and I'm not gonna make it another 5 seconds. It was.
A sense of dread.
Yeah, I mean, like, I can't even just, it would be more scarier than having, not that I have, but ganged up on and, beat down or something. I mean, this was just like scary. Like, you never, like, torturous scary. You're more terrorized than
And nothing really even happened. It was
nothing.
just a feeling of that.
Just an absolute feeling. I didn't stub my toe, nothing physical. I didn't get pushed. It's just a feeling coming from a direction in the room, and it was. Like I said, I ran. It was the scariest thing I've experienced in this house and in life. So.
And it's the only time that he's ever felt that way. Like I said, he called me in Michigan to let me know he couldn't go back in the house, and he was terrified, and nothing really happened. Just that feeling of dread had overcome him, but it was so overwhelming. That is scary.
No, it was. Yeah, I've never felt like that before or again here. So, but.
Something that used to happen a lot. He used to work out of town a lot, and I was here alone a lot. Whether he was here or not, I can hear somebody walking on the roof, and the roof, it sounds like they're walking over the laundry room, which is really weird, but that's where it happens. I have no idea why, but the laundry room is off to the side of the kitchen, but if you go out our back sliding glass door, you can come right around to it. So it's kind of near our bedroom roof area. But the walking on the roof is something that I used to hear a lot. I don't hear as much anymore, every once in a while.
Yeah, the dogs once in a while will just stare off at something, but not scared like they used to be, or
No.
frozen. Like I said, since the remodel,
Yeah. Another time before
It's
the
been
remodel,
really slow.
I was home. I used to work 4 days a week, and Tuesdays were my day off, and I was home on Tuesday, and I happened to be standing in the kitchen doing dishes, and it was probably around 2 o'clock-ish too, during the middle of the day, and I'm standing there, and all of a sudden I just felt this weird feeling, and I got goosebumps, chills, and I thought, oh geez, what's here? And no sooner I think that, and I hear somebody right next to my ear, and he didn't say anything. What he kind of said was, it was a big throat clearing right next to my ear. That was weird. But that startled me because it was like it was a man who was really irritated. and I could
Oh, it
already.
could have been me.
You weren't even home. I could already feel it before it even cleared its throat in my ear. So that actually made me panicky, and that was the thing that sent me out of the house, calling my daughter's friend saying, "Hey, can you come over and sit with me until everybody gets home?" So that did happen.
During the middle of the day.
A lot of things happen during the middle of the day. Like I said before with the other house, when investigators come and they only investigate at night, or people say that it's haunted but it only happens at night, we've experienced things all day
no matter
long.
what time
No
of
matter
day
what
it
time
is.
of day it is, there's stuff going on. I've never been in a house that only things happen at night. I think I've experienced more during the day, probably because we're awake to see it or hear it, other than being woke up out of a dead sleep for strange occurrences.
Still haven't caught anything on camera yet, though.
He doesn't always put the camera up.
Not always.
And not
but
to mention,
when I
we don't
do-
review the footage because we're too scared.
Yeah, we don't want to know.
It's
I've
like
done
we
it a
want to
few
know.
times.
Yeah, then we don't. We decide we don't want to know.
And then it's like, is she standing over top of me at night? I don't want to know.
No, once you did record.
to know.
Once he put the camera up out here, and remember, I got up in the middle of the night and walked to the end of the hallway and stood there.
Here when I had it at the other fireplace.
I forgot about that. But apparently, and I don't remember standing there, but apparently I got up and came out here and stood like right in front of the camera, right in front of the doorway. I just stood there. I'm not really sure why.
Mm-hmm.
But then you asked me why I was standing there and called me a weirdo.
That's the norm.
But I don't know if I think I must have been sleepwalking. I have a hard time with acid reflux, GERD, and I sleep on a wedge, and anytime I feel like something's going to come up because I have the water brush symptom, I tend to fly up out of bed, and I do it in my sleep and don't realize it, so I don't know if that's what was going on, and I wasn't feeling good, and I just walked out there and stood. I don't remember it, so I think I just kind of do that in my sleep.
Like I said, scared to review the footage.
The other footage, anyway.
So I say I love you every night we go to sleep. I love you.
I'm trying to think of what else goes on around here.
But for the scary stuff, it's pretty much subsided in the last 3 years, but
When the remodel,
you
when
can
the
feel it though. I mean,
sometimes, I don't believe that there's any space that doesn't have some activity. I mean, I just think it's all around, it's everywhere, and if you stop and listen, you can hear a lot of things.
but definitely that hallway
Yeah, the hallway
is
is
always, it could be 100 degrees in here and
the
it'd be
hallway's
cold.
freezing. Yeah,
Literally just cold. It does 2 feet from the end of the hall, right in between the doors and in the closets on both sides of the bedrooms, just freezing for no apparent no reason.
yeah. You can hear a lot of wrestling around in the closets too, like something's always shuffling things around in the closet. When Stephanie's friend lived here, she was sleeping in the room that I now have as my sewing room. And at that point, the closet wasn't designed for sewing and didn't have all the fabric in there. So it was a regular closet. And she would wake up in the night to all of her shoes shuffling around in that closet. And she wasn't scared because she was able to see them, but she said it was a 2-year-old. She said that she thought it was the child had to be 2 or 3, a little girl. And she said that she would walk around the bed and pat her hands all around the edge of the bed, just playing. And then she'd go and shuffle through the shoes and sing, and then sometimes she would cry. But when she would cry, everybody in the house could hear the crying, which was weird. Sometimes you'd hear a little giggle, but the crying, everybody would hear. And there's been times where the boys had asked me if there was a baby crying in the house.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like, a baby.
Yeah, and that happened actually. The crying from the little kid and the giggling and the shoe shuffling and all of that. That was a good solid 2 years of that being here. It's not here anymore. So whatever it was is obviously passed on to the next realm or wherever.
Or moved on with the person.
Wherever we go, yeah.
You know?
Could be. I mean, I guess she would attract more spirits if she sees them and they know.
We've had kids roommates, kids
Yep.
friends,
And
kids.
also,
Kids.
also with her, she says that one night she was woken up, and she told me in the morning that she got woken up in the middle of the night, and it was another spirit. And usually, because she's afraid of them, she doesn't let them, or she tries to pretend like she can't see them because she's afraid of. Remember the show The Ghost Whisperer? She's afraid that they're going to ask her to help them, so she's scared of them. So she doesn't. She tries not to let them know that she can see them. So anyway,
just keep bugging her.
sometimes. But the one woke her up in the middle of the night in the bedroom, and she said he didn't say much to her. She was sleeping facing outward, and apparently he woke her up. I don't know how he woke her up, but when she opened her eyes, he was right there looking at her, and she was startled, and she kind of jumped, and all he said to her was, "So." That was it.
So buttons.
So I don't.
So wheat.
I don't know.
What did you say?
I don't know, but you know, they're human spirits, so I would assume that they still act human when they've crossed over, and that would be one of those things. I mean, they don't always talk to you or full sentences or say, "I need your help," or you know. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I've seen a lot of paranormal investigations, a lot of.
No conversations being
I
carried
know,
on.
and I've seen, you know, and I've even talked to people who say that they're paranormal investigators, and as many things as I have been around and been exposed to, just without any equipment, this is just straight up a normal living, and you can hear things, but they don't straight up ever ask you for help or tell you things. I haven't ever had them tell me
Hey,
anything
I'm
like,
John. I was murdered by
yeah,
Pete.
or I haven't had them say, "I buried some money."
It's like
in the
Clues.
closet.
It's always it's like a riddle or a mystery
it's
or a
cle-
puzzle.
It's throat clearing and so, or just being there, you know. I don't know. I guess if I had more specialized equipment, maybe I could hear. I don't know if I want to though.
Look at this girl.
I know she's tired.
Well, her daddy.
When we were in the beginning of the remodel, though, we had a lot of stuff, and mind you, we are in the middle of Phoenix. We had a lot of our stuff out front, and our furniture was all like sitting right out there, and it was during monsoon season, so we had it covered, but he couldn't leave the house because here he is sleeping outside, and it's 120, 118, you know. Well, I guess at night it cooled down to 110.
Woohoo!
So he's sleeping in 110 out there, but he was sleeping on the love seat part of the sectional, right up against this doorway here, and you could hear the rattling and the stuff moving around inside the house.
Oh yeah.
Because I remember you complaining that the house was loud the first week.
It's getting tore apart. Things is all woken up.
Yeah, yeah. So the house was pretty loud then. I wasn't here. I didn't stay here.
No. Somebody got to sleep out of the carport for a month.
He did.
Cause at the time, and still, we had 7 of these babies to take care of.
Yeah.
So I made them a dog house outside and insulated it and had them in air conditioning, as I slept on the front porch with no air conditioning.
Yes. But the dogs were taken care of. They had their air conditioning.
You know. Then I couldn't take it anymore. Then the next month was in the hotel.
Yeah. But it was active then, and then one of the one of the workers that was doing the remodel was terrified of the ghost. He had to let them know that there was always ghosts.
Well, he
There
was
was 2 of
so
them.
terrified, he brought in his little Christian
Yes.
statues.
And the other guy quit. Yeah, the other guy quit. Remember? Our tile guy, he walked out and didn't come back.
Tile
And he was the
slash
one that-
plumbing guy.
Yeah, he was the one that really got upset about the haunting. So there's that.
But the other one brought it.
Yes.
Mother Teresa, was it?
No, it was a statue of Jesus.
Statue of Jesus.
Yeah. And he kept it in the house the whole time he was here, doing the remodel. Halloween time. We would have a Halloween party every year, and the inside of the house is highly decorated. Usually, last year it really wasn't. So if you saw my house last year, it had decorations, but it wasn't set up for a party. And when we have our Halloween party, it's mainly out back in the backyard and into the pool area. And we always decorate the pool area. And it was like the first year of the Halloween party in this house. And we at that point didn't have as many decorations in the pool area. But a friend of mine was here and she was taking pictures of everything. And the kids were, we had a fire back there and the kids were sitting around the fire. And my friend had a new camera, so she took the picture and how it snaps like a whole bunch of pictures in a row. Well, it did that, and she caught a ghost on there. It was like right around the fire, It was weird. You see it, and then all of a sudden you don't. You see it in a bunch of clips, and then it's gone. But you can always hear weird things too. Our pool gate always sounds like somebody's rattling it really hard trying to get in or out. That happens a lot. And I would blame it solely on the wind, but there's a difference between the wind rattle and somebody trying to get into that gate. And it sounds like somebody trying to get into that gate, and our sliding glass door is right there, so I can see literally everything. I can see it move, but can't see anybody standing there moving it or shaking it. So that does happen at the pool area a lot. Well, I guess that wraps up everything that we can think of right now for goings on around here. The kids probably have their own sets of stories. I know they do. Things always happen to them that they don't always talk about until later on, and I ask. I should have asked them before this video, but that's okay. So there's a few things that happen around this house. I have other goings on from my life. A lot of goings on from my life.
You get stuff in your life?
Yes. Especially from living in Michigan. So that is everything we can think of or remember from this house.
For now. But if anything happens in the future or we have a recollection of anything, we will let you know.
I might do a separate video on strange things that happened to me in Michigan. I had a lot of them since I lived there for 32 years.
Ooh. See, when I was a kid, I used to have a brick man who showed up in my bedroom.
We'll talk about that in another video.
I could fly down the steps. Interesting. We'll get to that.
In his dreams. Anyway.
Nightmares.
If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. It really helps me out a lot, and I sure do appreciate your support.
And I like hearing she's got another subscriber. So thank you.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye. Hello and goodbye.